John Snow College is named after the English physician Dr. John Snow, who is now considered to be one of the fathers of modern epidemiology. Each year, on the 15th of March, we celebrate his birthday, but why is he so important? Our story starts in 1831. Dr. John Snow was 18 years old and was just completing his medical studies and was engaging in experiments using a new technique, anesthesia, to help with the delivery of babies. Meanwhile, the first cases of an intestinal disease known as cholera were being reported around the country. For the next 13 years, this epidemic would kill tens of thousands of people. In the 19th century, sewage, toilet, and water systems were not yet developed, and people and companies would obtain their water from communal pumps to be used for drinking, cooking, and washing. Waste was also dropped straight into rivers, which were also used as water supply. Many presumed cholera was an airborne disease, but Dr. John Snow soon attributed the rapid spread of disease to this heavily contaminated water supply, and his research became oriented around outbreaks of cholera.
On the 31st of August 1854, Soho in London saw a rapid rise in cases and deaths from cholera. Over the next 3 days, 127 on or near Broad Street died. During the next week, 3/4 of the residents had fled the area. By the 10th of September, 500 people had died, and by the end of the outbreak, 616 people had died. He worked hard to trace the disease and its fatalities and produced a geographical grid which recorded deaths, and he was able to trace cholera outbreaks to anyone who lived and worked near the pump or consumed products which could be contaminated from it. Cholera cases were indeed found among those who had directly obtained water from the pump and nearby schools, restaurants, businesses and pubs. Interestingly, there was one significant anomaly. None of the workers in the nearby Broad Street brewery contracted cholera. As they were given a daily allowance of beer, they did not need to consume water from the nearby well. Dr. Snow even managed to see how a niece and her aunt had contracted cholera despite living far from the pump. But when he looked into it, he found that she liked the taste of the water from the pump, so used to have bottles of it brought to her.
In September, John Snow took his evidence to officials and said the pump handle should be removed to prevent any further spread of the disease, and when they refused, he took it off himself as an experiment, and sure enough, cholera cases ceased. However, they still didn't believe him and refused to clean up the water system more. Dr. Snow then traced every case of cholera in Soho back to the pump, including those who just passed by. However, finding the exact source of the disease within the pump was still an issue which could not be solved. Whilst it was not until later in the century that the bacteria which was present in these unsanitary water sources was proven to cause cholera, spread through digestion rather than respiration. By removing the pump handle, Dr. John Snow was able to stop the spread of cholera and save many lives. Cholera is still an ongoing concern in many areas of the world with unsanitary water, and Snow's research continues to have an impact upon disease control.
147 years after John Snow removed the pump handle on Broad Street, John Snow College was founded at Durham University in 2001. The college was situated at Queen's Campus in Stockton-on-Tees before moving to Durham City in 2018. The history of Dr. John Snow has always been celebrated by the college and the students who have lived in its various locations. The accommodation blocks at John Snow College have now been named after 6 of the Soho streets most affected by the major cholera outbreak of 1854: Bridal, Wardour, Lexington, Carnaby, Marshall and Hopkins, with the townhouses named after Broadwick Street.
Dr. Snow's study is part of the history of public health and health geography. At the front of the college, there is also a replica of the Broad Street pump, with an engraved plaque saying, "All that would be required to prevent cholera would be such a close attention to the cleanliness in the water supply." It is regarded as the founding event of epidemiology, and each year at John Snow College, we celebrate this history behind our college's name.